Hi everybody, this is Gad Sad for the Sad Truth. Last lecture in my Consumer Psychology and Decision Making course, this is a PhD slash MSc course. The topic of the lecture was hot cognition, namely the idea that when we're studying decision making, we should look at decision making not simply as a cold calculational endeavor, but rather we should incorporate things like lust, hunger, anger, all those hot elements into our discussion of decision making. Now, this might surprise you to think that, how come economists have not traditionally incorporated these within their classical, decision making models? Well, the reality is they haven't. And so there is now a movement, certainly amongst behavioral scientists, to incorporate these so-called hot cognition uh, factors into our understanding of decision making. And so, as part of my discussing these various forms of hot factors, I at one point talk about intertemporal choice. For those of you who don't know the term, this refers to how we make decisions across time. So, for example, if I tell you, do you want to have, would you like that I give you $50 today, or would you rather wait for a day and I'll give you $55 tomorrow? And so typically what you do is if you want to understand whether somebody is present oriented or more future oriented, or think of it uh, in terms of another personality trait, are you an immediate gratifier or a delayed gratifier? You need something now, you need the reward immediately, or you're willing to wait until some future date. Well, there is a way to calculate that, and that's by calculating what's called the lambda parameter. You can calculate, uh, an individual's penchant towards immediate reward, or waiting for a future date for a greater reward. Uh, Now, it turns out that that lambda parameter that is associated to each individual can be malleable. In other words, it can change depending on certain situational triggers. And in the consuming instinct, I specifically describe two studies that demonstrate how evolutionary based triggers can alter people's navigation through this intertemporal choice in very interesting ways. So, what I thought I would do today is simply read for you a passage from my book, The Consuming Instinct, on page 273 and 274. Uh, so, here we go. This speaks again to how specific evolutionary triggers can alter someone's desire to have something immediately or be willing to wait until some future date to receive the reward or a greater reward. So here we go. Although an individual's discounting rate is in part shaped by his personality, some people are inherently more present oriented than others, situational variables come into play as well. For example, men's discounting rates increase subsequent to being shown photos of beautiful women or women in bikinis. In other words, when a man is exposed to mating related stimulus, present rewards increase in value. As mentioned in the previous chapter, casino operators have long been aware of this phenomenon, as it is common practice to hire extremely attractive, often scantily clad waitresses to serve the largely male clientele. Not surprisingly, from an evolutionary perspective, visual primes of attractive men do not have the same effect on women's discounting rates. Discounting rates are also affected by contextual cues linked to our survival. Exposure to greater amounts of sugar decreases the amount of future discounting, i.e., future rewards were valued to a greater extent. Less sugar consumed, i.e., lower glucose levels, led to greater discounting, i.e., I want it now. Again, from an evolutionary perspective, this makes perfect sense. Our fluctuating blood sugar levels serve as a signal of situational hunger or of satiety. When hungry, lower blood sugar levels, we seek immediate approach behaviors, eat now, whereas when satiated, higher blood sugar levels, we are willing to display greater temperance. If you are a casino operator, keep your players hungry. Perhaps this is why conspicuous clocks are seldom seen in casinos. Knowing the time might alert gamblers that it is time to eat. Close quote. So here, basically, to summarize in simpler terms, uh, if you prime men for mating by exposing them to visual imagery of beautiful, sexy women, then the manner by which they navigate through these intertemporal choices is such that it triggers, if you like, their present orientation. I want it now. On the other hand, if you give and this effect works for men and not women. On the other hand, when you give people either a sugary drink or not, being exposed to sugar, in other words, if you drink the sugary drink, it actually makes you willing to wait for a future reward. In other words, it makes you less now oriented. And so here are two examples, one from mating, one from survival, that demonstrates how these evolutionary relevant variables can alter the manner by which we make decisions. So there you have it, folks. This is two great examples of studies that marry, if you like, evolutionary principles with decision making. Have a great weekend, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.